who wants to sit on a chair? No? Okay, ladies, I have one request of you. Seeing as we are in room 4 and we're well protected by phone. Ezrat Hashem, we won't need to look at it, and as I said, we don't need to move. It's a good place to be. We're in the center of Yerushalayim, in the center of the world. So I didn't manage to make sheets for you. I wasn't giving shiur klali actually until we decided on Motzei Shabbos that you were coming back, and my mind was occupied with a lot of different things then. But I still have something that I want to share with you. It's nice to be able to give shiur klali on Bereshit. It's not often that we're able to give shiur klali on Bereshit. It just depends how the dates work out. But it's pretty rare. We weren't meant to this year anyway. I'm going to dedicate this to all of our soldiers. Specifically, I'll be a bit selfish, to my son, Yehuda ben David Shmuel Yosef, and my other son, Yitzhak ben David Shmuel Yosef, and my son-in-law, Asaf ben Feivel Shraga, who are all been in the army since Yom Tov. So, and all of the other soldiers, of course, as you've probably seen from the Google Doc that Rav Sussman sent out, most of the teachers here average 3-4 plus family members who are fighting. And so our prayers are with them. And at the same time, enormous pride that I have a family that is defending the Jewish people. And like I just said in my share, we've stopped doing what we did for 2,000 years, which is they smack us and we don't do anything about it. Now we do something about it, and they're going to find out very soon what we're going to do about it. And we have a Jewish army now. We have Malchut Yisrael, and there's something to be proud of. And anyone you know is to be proud of. Big deal. It's a big deal. If you've been to where I've been to, and you've been to Poland, you see where we were 80 years ago. They just pulled out guns and shot at us, and we just fell. We weren't able to pull guns back, and now we are. Now we are, and we have great support. We have 2 American warships heading for Israel as well at the moment, and Baruch Hashem, we are in a better place than we were 2 days ago. And most of the news that we're hearing today is still clarification of 2 days ago. There's a lot of courage taking place. So I want to dedicate this shiur to those soldiers, and I just need you to focus a bit, because I didn't give out dapim, and we're in a safe place, Baruch Hashem. So if you can just leave the phones for the moment. We were doing really well with my Face the Challenge WhatsApp group. I had done really well myself. After Rav Shames's shiur on Kol Nidre, I opened up a WhatsApp group for people who wanted to work on their addictions to WhatsApp. I was able before Sukkot to delete 7 or 8 apps, including YouTube, and including a number of news companies that I just deleted every day. I was deleting 2, and I felt it was, again, the war came along. We started checking our phones again, but again, it's everything Dr. Yocheved says. I can tell you, I know it's addictive. I'll just tell you what I told other girls. They put these films up to scare you. And so we just play into their hands by watching these films. I just will not do it. I will not look at the films. I can pray for the people and cry for the people. I don't need these films in my mind. It doesn't help. I actually have no idea why grown-up adults in this world don't take responsibility and censor these films from at least the news apps. I don't understand it. Why little children can open up an app and see this stuff is beyond my comprehension. But I say I'm not in charge of that. I will say one thing, ladies. Kol hakavod to those of you who are here. Very proud of you. And if you don't think you're doing anything, you're keeping me occupied. Okay, that's good. I'd be driving my wife mad if I was at home. I'd be driving her crazy. I don't know what I would do, actually. So think of it in that way, that you're helping me. No? Okay. Sense of humor is always there. It's always there. The first Rashi in Bereshit, and I'm not going to go immediately to where you think I'm going to go, but I will go there. Okay? Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim et haaretz. I was looking through my notes and I realized that I had actually never given, I don't have dapim on this shiur, even though I've spoken about this before, but not in recent years, Kanira. So that first Rashi, which is what I would call a classic Bnei Akiva Rashi, okay, which means it's one of those Rashis that you know if you're in Bnei Akiva, and it's what we would call, it's a famous Rashi, and the meaning of a famous Rashi means I know it, which makes it famous because I know it. So what does he say? Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim et haaretz. So Rashi says, so Rashi mevi, this is, I'm quoting the Tivot Shalom, sorry. Rashi mevi, Amar Rabbi Yitzhak, lo haya, this is the first Rashi in all of Torah. Lo haya tzarich להתחיל את התורה אלא מהחודש הזה לכם שהיא מצווה ראשונה שנצטוו ישראל. I'm sure you've heard this before. The premise of the Rashi is that the Torah is a book of laws. And if the Torah is a book of laws, then it should start with the first law. And the first law given to the people of Israel, the nation of Israel, is in chapter 12 of Shemot, which is HaChodesh Hazeh Yelachem, it's Rosh Chodesh. Brit Milah was given to Abraham as an individual, but it doesn't count as a national mitzvah until we go to Har Sinai. Different discussion. So Rashi says, if the Torah, he actually doesn't say these words, but it's the premise to his question. If this book is a book of laws, then it should start with the first law. In other words, we don't need the book of Bereshit. Not only don't we need the book of Bereshit, we don't need the Parshat Shemot or Va'era or the beginning of Parshat Bo, because there are no laws in it. So now Rashi is essentially going to answer to us, so why do we need the book of Bereshit? And he answers as follows. He answers, just Rashi, I'm going to tell you what Tivot Shalom says, I'm not going to read it to you, okay? But Rashi says as follows, Mishum, this is the reason, there's a pasuk in Tehillim, Koach ma'asav higid la'amo latel lahem nachalat goyim. He quotes a pasuk from Tehillim, that God gave us the inheritance of the nations. What does that mean? She'im yomru, listen to this Rashi, 800 years ago. She'im yomru umot ha'olam, if the nations of the world come to you and say, Listim atem, you are thieves, Shekavashtem alsot shivat goyim, because you stole the land of Israel. You heard that before? You heard that before? You are thieves because you stole the land of Israel. No one has looked after the land of Israel like the Jewish people have looked after the land of Israel. When Mark Twain, you heard of Mark Twain? When Mark Twain came to Israel and he walked through the land of Israel, it was desolate. It was falling apart. If you brought Mark Twain alive and brought him back to Israel, he wouldn't believe what he could see. He wouldn't believe what we've done with this country. Even when we lived in Gush Katif, which is a place that is unworkable, we were growing crop in Gush Katif. They can't grow crop now. The Arabs who are there can't grow crop. They grow missiles there now. But they can't grow crop. So if the Goyim come and they say, you've stolen the land of Israel, you notice we're getting okay press at the moment. We get okay press when we're being killed. They're okay with us when we're being killed. The BBC, they love us when we're being killed. When we start shooting back, the BBC will turn its tune. It will change a bit. They won't interview our people anymore. Then we know we're winning. You always know you're winning by the BBC or the UN, one of the two. You can choose who you want. CNN, I suppose. Fox is okay, I think. So we say to them, wait a minute. The whole world belongs to God. The whole world belongs to God. That's what we learn from Bereshit. So it says, so God created the world, and he took the land of Israel, and he gave it to us. That's the Rashi. So Rashi says the whole purpose, the underlying meaning of the Rashi, is that the whole purpose of the book of Bereshit is to show our rights to the land of Israel. That's it. I'm going to come back to this, okay? I'm going to come back to this, and I'm not going to go over time, okay? Believe me, I'm not going to go over time. Tivot Shalom asks a question on this Rashi. Tivot Shalom says, wait a minute. Let's go through the book of Bereshit. Now, the second half of the book of Bereshit is talking about Yosef and his brothers. That's not about the land of Israel. That's really about Ben Adam Lechavero. It's not about the land of Israel. It's about brothers hating brothers and a brother being sent down to Egypt and going down to Egypt after him. And that's already from Parshat Vayeshev to the end. Yaakov in Parshat Vayeshev leaves Israel. And he goes out for a whole parsha of Galut. He goes out for the whole parsha. So that's also not about Israel. He comes back, right? But so what parsha is about Israel being given to the Jewish people exactly? Lech Lecha. Lech Lecha is the parsha of Aliyah, right? It's Lech Lecha me'asra miladcha ve'itavicha la'aretz asher areka. That's the parsha. That's the parsha where Israel is given to the Jewish people. So the Tivot Shalom doesn't like the Rashi's answer. He says that cannot be the only purpose of Sefer Bereshit. Because if the only purpose of Sefer Bereshit is telling us our rights to the land of Israel, you need the psukim that deal with Avram being told by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, go live in Israel. And that's it. That's the whole thing. Which, by the way, turned out to be, without any kavanah at all, that was a parsha made Aliyah. I'm coming up to my 34th year in Israel, which is quite incredible for a 25-year-old. Really, okay. So it takes time, I know. 34 years, which is way beyond the amount of time I was in England. So that, and I came on Aliyah just before Parashat Lech Lecha. I didn't plan it that way. I mean, I didn't look at the Parasha when I made Aliyah. So the Tivot Shalom has a classic answer here. And the first answer that he gives, ladies, this is so fundamental, this answer. The answer that he gives is this. He asks a question first. He says, wait a minute. The most important thing for a person, really, the most important thing is to have good midot, is to be a good person. That really is the most important thing. He says it, the Rebbe says it, it's the most important thing a person has midot. He says there's nothing in the Torah about having good midot. We have mitzvot, right? I've got to wear tzitzit, I've got to fast on Yom Kippur, I've got to keep Shabbos. Where did it say be a mensch, be a good person? Look out for your fellow. There are individual halachot, kibud avayim, v'ahavta l'recha kamocha, but they're psukim in certain places. There's no massive area of midot. He says something phenomenal here. He said, have a look at this. I just want to tell you, if you ever look inside this Tivot, it's the first Tivot Shalom in Bereshit, that I've added something in, which is my own. Okay, but which he doesn't say. I'm not quite sure why he doesn't say it. But he says the whole book of Bereshit is about midot. So let me explain. The one thing he doesn't say, you go through the stories. If you go through Bereshit Aleph and Bet, which for some reason most of you do in high school. I don't know, whenever I interview, you're learning Bereshit. I know everyone's learning Bereshit. I understand a word of what's going on in Bereshit Aleph and Bet. I've got no idea. But everyone in high school, that's what you do, right? I always kind of, what you're learning, Bereshit. Okay, great. So I can join you in Perek Gimel. In Perek Gimel, we have Cain and Abel. We have Adam and Chava. Perek Dalet, we have Cain and Abel. Good, human, shtuyot. Right? So what's the first lesson that we learn in the Torah with Adam and Chava? Now, there are a number of lessons we learn about Adam and Chava, but there's one particular lesson which screams out to me every year. Screams out to me. The Torah isn't about God, right? The Torah is about human beings. God doesn't give us a book. It's about us. It's about the tikkun of a human being. So it's the very first lesson you learn as follows. Listen to this story. It's a story you know very, very well. Adam is having a good day. It was the only day. It was the Friday, right? Everything happened in the afternoon. Everything went wrong. That all went wrong in 3 hours, okay? So Adam is having a good day. She comes along and she says, have this, not apple. We're not Christian, okay? It wasn't an apple. It could have been a fig. Let's call it a fig. She says, darling, have the fig. He says, he doesn't even say we're not allowed. He says, okay. He has the fig. Now, she's already eaten the fig, right? And because the Nachash told her to eat from the fig. HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes into the Gan Eden and he turns around to Adam and he says to Adam, why did you eat from the tree? I told you not to. So like any loving husband would, he says, it wasn't me, it was her. Lovely. It wasn't me, it was her. Now wait for the pun. Then she turns around and she says to God, it wasn't me, it was Nachash. Here's the pun. The Nachash who didn't have a leg to stand on. No. He did actually, it doesn't work. Okay, but the Nachash doesn't say anything. Now Rashi actually says the Nachash was the only one who had an answer because the Nachash said they didn't have to listen to me. Divrei harav, the Divrei hatalmid. I said something, you said something. Who says they have to listen to me? What's really interesting here for me, ladies, is as follows. Is that everyone has an excuse. And the Orach Chaim actually elaborates on Adam's excuse. He says, your wife brings you food. Every time your wife brings you food, you ask her, is it kosher? I'd be thrown out my house if I asked my wife every time, what's a hechsher? My wife puts food on, what's a hechsher? No. And then, what the heck? But he was meant to ask her what the hechsher is. So everyone has a different kind of sin here. And everyone has an excuse. The first lesson, ladies, in the book of Bereshit is the most important lesson in life. Everyone has a responsibility. So Adam is going to be punished. And Chava is going to be punished. And the Nachash is going to be punished. The very first lesson in the whole Torah Kula, you make a decision, you're responsible for that decision. And the very first lesson, human responsibility, accountability, that we've done something and now we pay the price for it. Or we get the reward for it. But either way, you are a human being, you are Tselem Elokim, you have choice. Now you have to deal with the choice that you've made. It's you made a choice. Now you made your bed, you've got to lie in it. That's the first lesson. Then that's mine, okay? Now the rest is at Tivot Shalom. He says, Pirkei Avot, it says as follows. There are three. In Pirkei Avot, there are three things that destroys a man's life. Do you remember what they are? Jealousy. Three things. Desire, jealousy, and honor. You think about those three things. These are the three things that make our lives miserable. Tava, desire, like it never ends, right? You want this, then you want this, then you want this, and we're never happy, and I could have had another, and I could have had another, and I want this one, and that one, and the other. Never happy. So that's Tava. Jealousy, kill. They've got this, and they've got this, and they've got this, and they've got this. Whatever you've got, they've got more. And then Kabod. Kabod is the worst. Kabod it kills us. It eats up on us inside Kabod. They didn't agree with me. They didn't listen to me. He didn't like what I said, or she didn't like what I said. These three things are little branches coming out of our ego that destroy our life. Now look at the three first stories after Adam and Eve. Cain and Abel is what? Jealousy. It's absolute jealousy. Right? The Cain wouldn't mind if Hevel's korban wasn't received. He's not bothered with that. He's bothered that his was and his wasn't. That's macharalo. That's what hurts Cain, is that Hevel's offering was received and accepted by God, and his wasn't. And it's killing him. That's eating up on him. So he kills his brother because of that. Out of jealousy, he kills his brother. Because he's jealous of his brother, he kills his brother. That's the first story. After Adam and Chava. So what's the story? What's the Mabul? The Mabul's desire, right? It's just corruption. It's people, they just want everything, and they are totally enslaved to their bodies and their materialism. It makes them steal, it makes them kill, it makes them take women or take men or take animals, whatever they want to do. It's desire out of control. So what's Migdal Bavel? It's covered. That's where our Mefarshim are struggling to find the reason for Migdal Bavel, because we only have the punishment. The crime isn't described. It just says that God, they built a tower to go up to the heavens. And but most of our Mefarshim have explained that to mean that they built a tower because they wanted to challenge God. It's covered. Isn't that incredible? You're not even kvetching here. Tava v'kima v'kavod. The Torah starts off by showing us, after showing us our fundamental accountability and responsibility for our actions, the Torah then says there are three basic flaws in the human being. Then what does it do? It introduces us to all the positive parts of a human being. The chesed of Abraham. Isn't it incredible that Abraham is the first theologue, the first believer in one God, monotheism, in Hashgacha, and the whole emphasis of Abraham is chesed? He's a philosopher. We don't talk about philosophy with Abraham. We talk about a man who was kind, loving, and therefore all the challenges that challenged Abraham were to do with chesed, right? He had to throw Ishmael out of his house. He had to kill Yitzchak. He had to go to war. All the things, he had to go down to Mitzrayim and with his wife and change her identity. Things that for a person who loves must have been terrifying for him. No phones, please. No phones. No phones. would have been terrifying for him. So he's challenged with chesed. And then Yitzchak is Gevurah. Yitzchak is a Jew who's prepared to go and die for his beliefs. So that's Yitzchak. That's the second level. Then Yaakov, who's Emet, and everyone says, how can Yaakov be Emet? Everything he did was deceitful. No, it's the other way around. All his challenges were in the area of truth because truth was so important to him. Had he been a deceitful liar, then he wouldn't have cared to dress up in front of his father. He wouldn't have cared to do the things he did. But because he was fundamentally a truthful person, these were challenges for him. You tell a liar, go and lie. They don't turn around to you and say, oh, this is really hard for me. They just lie. You don't even have to tell them. You tell a truthful person, lie is painful for them. Spin a story is painful for them. You understand what's going on here according to Netivot Shalom? You understand the initial question of Netivot Shalom was, there were two questions. Number one was, I don't understand Rashi. What's the point of all of Sefer Bereshit? It's not about Israel. It's about other things. So if that's the case, and number two, where are we in the Torah? So now he says something which is so important for us to try and understand. You cannot receive the Torah in the book of Shemot if you don't understand the Midot in the book of Bereshit. The book of Bereshit is a tracing. It's an introduction. It's a prerequisite. You've heard of that word before? Prerequisite. It's a requirement. You cannot receive the Torah if you have not confronted the area of Midot. If you've not dealt with your desire and your jealousy and your kavod, if you've not dealt with that, if you're not working on your chesed and on your gevurah and on your emet, then forget about Shemot. Just forget about it. It's just not relevant. It's a beautiful answer. Now, what is the purpose of Sefer Bereshit? Sefer Bereshit is it's the soul of the Torah because it's how we're meant to behave. It's how we're meant to be as human beings. It's how we're meant to behave as human beings. And that's his answer to what Sefer Bereshit is. I want to go back to the first Rashi. I want to ask a question on that Rashi, which Netivot Shalom did not ask. Rashi said something which seems to be, on the face of it, to be very, very straightforward. Rashi said, when the nations come to you and they say, you've stolen the land of Israel, what are you talking about? You haven't learned shiur in Bereshit? So imagine, I don't think it's going to be hard for you to imagine. Imagine you're in university. You're in the United Nations. And they're passing one of their lovely laws in how Israel should be restrain itself. Just like every other country in the world would restrain itself if they killed 1,000 of their citizens. Just like America restrained itself after they knocked down the two towers. They destroyed Afghanistan. So America hasn't told us to restrain ourselves. China has. China, the moral compass of the world, has told us to restrain ourselves. So I'll just stick to egg roll for the moment, and I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to take mussar from China, but I'll order a number 10. Okay, but that's it. Okay, so I'm not taking mussar from China. Germany at the moment is supporting us. I'm not taking mussar from them either. I'm not taking mussar from the British Empire, what's left of it. I don't take mussar from anyone. Okay, I have my own moral compass. But they're standing up in the United Nations and they're talking to us about what we should be doing. And I'm a guest speaker. We have with us today the Rosh Yeshiva Midrashet Harova has a few words to say to the Arab delegation. And I come with a chumash. It's a siddur, but I come with a chumash. And I say, ladies and gentlemen, have you not read Bereshit? I'm looking at Abu Mazen. No? Lech lecha. Read. I'm telling you, you've not read it? And Abu Mazen said, no. So I start reading from the podium. I said, Bereshit bara Elokeinu haaretz, in that tune as well. I said that to Tohu vabohu. And slowly the delegation's going, wow, and the Chinese delegation, I've got to write this down. It's okay. No, one film, no. He's writing down all these different things. And then I get to Parshat Lech Lecha. Syrians, oh my God, it belongs to Avraham Avinu. A Syrian delegation gets like, we're out of here. We're out of here. And more than that, the Syrians and the Egyptians started, they're all dancing together. They're having a great time. We never realized it. What's Rashi talking about? What's he talking about? They come to me and they say, I'm a thief. I read the Sefer Bereshit and say, oh, it's all good. I never understood jihad. Whoa, they're all there. Well, ladies, Rashi wasn't sitting in Kollel, and he didn't. Rashi lived in the time of the Crusades. These are the time of Christian murderers who ran through Europe and made their way to Israel to murder Jews in the name of a Jew. Truth, yeah. Lived and died a Jew. And so Rashi, what does Rashi mean? What does Rashi mean? I'm asking, what was the pshat in Rashi? How am I meant to understand Rashi? Rashi says that they say we're thieves, which they've been saying forever. And so we say, no, Bereshit. So I have a pshat in Rashi that I want to share with you. I think it's very relevant to us here and now. And I sent it to my alumni who made Aliyah this morning, I sent it to them this morning. They didn't make Aliyah this morning, but that would be an incredible thing. Someone made Aliyah this morning. And I said, what's the pshat in Rashi? And I totally believe this is pshat in Rashi. And I can't tell you that anyone says it is, but this is what I believe is a pshat in Rashi. Rashi isn't telling the non-Jews to read Sefer Bereshit. He's telling the Jews to read Sefer Bereshit. So they'll leave you alone if you believe that Israel is yours. If you believe that Israel is yours, he's telling the Jews, you read Sefer Bereshit. You read Sefer Bereshit and you remind yourself that this country, and however comfortable we are and we feel in the countries that we come from, this is your country and this is your flag. And I don't think in the history of our exile, any country has looked after the Jews like America or Canada, has ever embraced the Jews in that way. It's still not our country. It's still not ours. This is ours. Rashi's saying, Jews, read Sefer Bereshit. When Jews believe, I mean really believe. Believe isn't the Fifth Avenue Parade. That's not belief. When Jews really believe that this is their country, he says, I'll leave you alone. I'll leave you alone. And for me, this is, I mentioned to a few of you who were here already yesterday that it's a big bracha in life to have a belief, to have a dream. It's a big bracha. It's even a bigger bracha to be able to live that dream. It's a bigger bracha to live that dream. And to live that dream, lachalutin, as I just said to a number of girls in a previous year, there's nowhere for me to go in Chutz La'aretz even if I wanted to. Everyone's here. Everyone's here. My dad's here. Everyone's here. My entire being is here. I have one sister who lives in Chutz La'aretz. Hopefully not for so long, but otherwise everyone else is here. And so to be able to have that is an incredible thing. It's a belief. So then we have another point that I want to make to you. Yaakov Avinu, a bit later on in Sefer Bereshit, is about to meet Esav. And God says to Yaakov Avinu, everything's going to be good. Everything's going to be okay. Now what does the pasuk say? Vayira Yaakov ma'od vayetzel. Yaakov was very scared. And all the Mefarshim are asking a question. I don't understand. God just promised you it was going to be Beseder, so why are you scared? That's a lack of faith. All of the Mefarshim ask the same question. That's a lack of faith. God said, you're going to come to meet Esav and it's going to be Beseder, so why are you scared? What are you upset about? And the Abarbanel answers us in a specific way. The Abarbanel says as follows. That's the whole point. He was a human being, and therefore he was scared. But if you could just all just wait here, I'll finish in 10 minutes, as opposed to this becoming a bit like a cinema and people coming in and out and in and out. So just another 10 minutes. So he says, even though he was scared, he still did it. That was the greatness of Yaakov. He did it because God promised him. He was scared. He was a regular human being. If I stood in the middle of the highway and said, I believe in God, they'd lock me up, right? They'd lock me up. I said, that's not belief in God. You're crazy. You've lost your mind. What are you doing in the middle of the highway? If I'm scared to walk into the highway, but God says walk into the highway, so I walk into the highway, but I'm scared. That means I'm doing it even though I'm scared. That's what Abarbanel says. It's a pshat with Yaakov Avinu. So to be scared is perfectly natural, but to do it anyway, means that you believe. It just means that you believe in what you're doing. And the more that we believe and the more that we show, I truly think that what has given them the incentive over the last few months is the pirut that we've had in this country and the argument and dispute. And people even saying they're not going to serve in the army anymore. The people, half of our Air Force was out on strike. Within an hour of Shabbos morning, within an hour, they called off. They called off all of the demonstrations and they all went back to their units within an hour. Incredible. I know because my son's got friends who are in the Tayeset, and he came back from Jerusalem to get his gear, and he told me it's off, everything's off, everyone's gone back into the army straight away. What made them think that they could do this was that they saw that they thought, like Haman thought, right? I'm a Fuzam, a Furad, we are a broken, dispersed people, and we don't agree with anything, and we'll never be able to fight together. And Baruch Hashem, they were wrong. They also chose a date, right? It's exactly the same date. Give a day or two to the Yom Kippur War in English, which is called the October War. It's a big celebration in Egypt. Even though they lost that war, they celebrate crossing the Suez Canal like they won the war. They have museums over there to celebrate the Yom Kippur War, even though we almost got to Cairo. But the October War is a big thing in Arab history. They chose the date. You look in the Gemara and Megillah, just like Haman chose the date. And they saw the predicament of our people, and they thought, they don't believe anymore. It's finished. But we do believe. Do you know, ladies, that I can only tell you from a very personal level, one of Jeremy's son was on a tour in India. He was back with his unit already. The war started on Shabbos. It's Monday. He arrived in the airport this morning. He has his equipment and he's with his unit. Jeremy's son-in-law is in the Philippines. He's back with his unit. Some people are trying to fly out. Our people are trying to fly in. They're trying to fly back. We have a purpose. We have a belief. I think this is the source of Rashi. That if the Jewish people read Bereshit, if we believe, and belief doesn't mean that we're happy all the time. It doesn't mean we're smiling all the time, but it's belief. And we learn now in our Rabbi Nachman shiur, it's an inside simcha, it's an internal feeling of fulfillment that you're doing something that's important. And I asked myself this question, so where would you rather be? Do you want to be platzing in London and watching the news there? Or do you want to be sitting here, living it? What do you want to do? Where do you want to be? So each of you will have your own answer. I don't want to be platzing. If I were in London, I'd be platzing. I'd be opening the BBC and shouting at the BBC. And well, probably I wouldn't look because there's internet now. When I was there, the Lebanon War, we just had the BBC. And I had no source of information. And I saw them showing pictures of my friends in Lebanon. And my friends were crossing the Litani River. I remember what the BBC said. And I remember what they said about friends that I'd learned Chabrusa with. And I was going crazy. I want to be there, sitting over there. When I'm here, I'm in the middle of history. It's a question, you're here for a year, and it's a question that you have to, I think, should present yourself with. every week, you bench on a Shabbos, and you start off benching saying, Shir Amalu Bashuv Hashevet Shivat Zion Ayim Kocholim. Every single week you do it. Everyone's got their tune, and Shir Amalu Bashuv Hashem, Shir Amalu Bashuv Hashem. What is that about? What do we say? What has the Jew been saying for the last 2,000 years, every Shabbos? That we are praying to come back to Zion, and we will be like dreamers. And you know what? He brought us back to Zion. He's brought us back. We're here. He didn't only bring us back. He brought us back after a Holocaust, where we weren't decimated. Decimated means a tenth of your people. Menachem Begin used to say we were tertiated. I don't think there's such a word, but it means a third of your people. 3 years after they destroyed us, we came back and we fought. Do you know what we fought with in 1948? Pitchforks. Do you know how many aeroplanes we had in 1948? Take a guess, if you haven't heard it from me before. How many aeroplanes did the Israeli Air Force have when war broke out in May 1948? 1. The British took all our guns, and that's how we fought all of the Arab nations. We dreamt about this for 2,000 years. I'm not giving up a dream that I've had for 2,000 years for no one. So they bury me 6 feet under. I'm not giving up. This is my entire being, my entire life. It's everything I've ever lived for. Is this is the greatest anxiety on the one hand, and the greatest pride on the other, to have my family serving in the IDF. And I had a thought today of coming in uniform, actually. I've done it before. I've given shiur in uniform before on a number of occasions. Not because they're going to call me up, because I've told a few if they call me up, then phone home. Okay, they see me or Rav Sussman in uniform. Shaky. But I might do it anyway, but only to try and force myself into something just to help, because I feel guilty that I'm not doing anything. But when I used to put on uniform, when I see my children in uniform, I'm telling you, I feel like I'm looking at Maccabim. On one occasion, we were together as a family on Yom Ha'atzmaut, and I'm very fanatical. And my father-in-law said, well, say something. So I said, I want to say something very extreme. I said, it gets to Pesach, you're sitting around Seder night, and you're trying to do somersaults in the air to try and work out how this is relevant today. Because we left Egypt a long time ago, and we're meant to say, Ki'ilu Yatzam Mitzrayim. I don't remember the last time you were in Egypt. I was never in Egypt. I'm not intentionally going to Egypt. It's less likely I'm going to Egypt. I'll go to China. If we talk about China, I'm not going to either place. I'm going to Egypt. I'll go to Poland. I'll go to Egypt. And so I'm sitting at the Seder table trying to make it relevant for the last 20, 30 years to my children why we left Egypt. And we get to Shavuot and I'm receiving the Torah. I learn Torah every day. So why is Shavuot special to me when I'm learning Torah every single day? I'm learning, if we're going to learn Torah around the clock, I'll do 4 o'clock, okay? I learn Torah every day. So you're up till 4 and then you can know that I'll carry on. Now that's fine. So Shavuot and Sukkot. So I'm sitting in my sukkah and some of you were in my sukkah. It was lovely to have you in my sukkah. I didn't really feel like I was in the midbar in Egypt. I don't think they had my mum's posters on the wall. I'm not sure, but I don't think my mum made these beautiful posters for the Egyptian Jews when they came out. And I really feel like that every single Chag, I'm trying to relive something that happened a long time ago. I get to Yom Ha'atzmaut, I'm not reliving anything. I'm living it, ladies. I'm living it. You understand? I'm living it. I'm living Yom Ha'atzmaut. I live in this country. This is my country. It's my country. In my mountains. And I got married in Yerushalayim. You heard this pasuk? Od yishama ba'arei Yehuda u'v'chutzot Yerushalayim. You ever heard that? It's a pasuk, right? It's my life. I am a prophecy. You understand that? I'm a prophecy. Me. Od yishama ba'arei Yehuda. That's my daughter. V'chutzot Yerushalayim. That's me. Kos Hashem. That's me. So are we going to just read psukim for the rest of our lives? Are we going to start living this thing? He brought us home, ladies, he brought us home, and now he said you're going to have to work for it. My God, we're working for it. My God, it's hard. And if you ask me, am I scared? I couldn't say Havdalah, I won't say Shabbos. Well, my daughter was in tears. I was just crying. Of course, it's hard. Kids are young me. Of course, it's hard. I scared you. Go nowhere. Go nowhere. Our enemies don't even believe the Holocaust happened. You know that Abu Mazen, he's the liberal. He's a Holocaust denier. Do you know that? It came out by accident a month ago in the UN. They started asking questions about it. His doctorate is about Holocaust denial. Do you know that? This is the liberal Palestinian leader, Abu Mazen. They don't believe the Holocaust happened. I'm not a liar. I know what happened. I know what I believe in. I'm going to fight for everything I believe in. And we're sitting together on Motzei Shabbos on a Zoom. Myself, Jeremy, Rav Sussman, Rav Shames, and Dr. Yochel. 5 minutes after I've done, we're kind of reading the news while we're talking, right? Because we have to send instructions out to the girls who are keeping 1 day or 1.5 days, just to let you know what's going on. And Jeremy's got 4 kids in the army. I've got 3. Rav Shames has got 4. Yochel, I think, has got 2. Not a moment I ever want to relive is saying goodbye to my sons on Simchat Torah. Ever. Couldn't even say the bracha properly. Just Yom Kippur War is like ringing in your ears, you know. So Vayira Yaakov Me'od Vayetzelo, you scared? Sure. And I said, I'm going anywhere, boys. You put any film you want, I'm going to drive up and down my road. You know, there was a time a few years ago, I used to give an alumni shiur in Yerushalayim on a Tuesday night. And they were shooting on the road between Gush Etzion and Yerushalayim. And the army closed the road. And I said, no, I'm giving shiur. I'm going Yerushalayim. So I drove round from Bet Shemesh all the way to Yerushalayim. And the lunatic that I am, I'm sitting in my car, driving up the road to Yerushalayim, singing, and I'm going like this. Yasser Arafat, look at me. I'm in Yerushalayim. You're stopping me now. You stopped me 2,000 years. They're not stopping me now. And they can lie, and they can fire, and they can do whatever they want to do. We have the belief. I believe that's what Rashi's talking about. If we have the belief, and we have the belief, and Baruch Hashem, you know, I heard a Sikha Erev Shmini Atzeret from Rosh Hashiva and the Good. They were just celebrating, remembering the Yom Kippur War. And he said there'll be a war, everyone will come together again. So I don't know, you just don't know. There's been so much fighting, inner fighting. And they hit us bad. There's no doubts they've hit us badly. But, okay. Now we'll have to, and we have done. They're in control of the entire country now. There might be 1 or 2 still hiding in places, but Sachakol. And now we'll go and deal with the real issues. And but just in everything that you do, even when you have that fear, which is totally Yaakovly natural, even when you have that fear, just remember what a glorious position we are in. And if you ever want to remember what a glorious position we're in, I'm happy to share with you in my study, which I've shown many of you. I have a little collection of stones from Auschwitz-Birkenau. And every so often that I think, oh my God, it's never been so bad. I look at the stones and I remember, oh yeah, it's been bad. It's been bad. In fact, the truth is, ladies, it's never been so good for our people. We have a country, we have an army, we have a government. And we have ups and downs, okay. That's a struggle, that's accountability, that's what we have to do, that's our responsibility. But the most important thing is that we have And I openly admit this isn't meant for anything but to describe my feelings. I understand we're in different predicaments. My family all lives here. I have nothing to think of, or really I have a sister, as I say, who I hope will join us. But otherwise, I've got nothing over there at all anymore. We're in different situations, but to have that belief, and I think that's what Rashi said. Rashi said to us, you learn a Sefer Bereshit, and most of all, something that I told my alumni who live in Israel, you hold your heads high with pride. Pride. There's a lot to be proud of in everything that we do. The morals of our army are incomparable to any other army. The only reason they took hostages, ladies, is they know that we're human beings and we won't let them kill our hostages. If we took hostages from them, they couldn't care less. They just couldn't care less. And the only reason they do that is because they know that we are Tselem Elokim, we are human beings and we care about human life, and therefore they play on human life. Because we care about human life. And because we are Tselem Elokim. My Rosh Hashiva once said, he was a survivor, my Rosh Hashiva once said to us, and only he could say it, he said, if you ask me which of three categories I would want to be, a perpetrator, a bystander, or a survivor, I would always choose to be a survivor, because we are the only people who don't have a stain on our character from the Second World War. We're the only country in the world, the only nation in the world that didn't murder in whatever way, at whatever stage. And we hold ourselves high with pride. We have morality that is beyond whatever they say. I'm not interested. I know. I don't care what they say. We're allowed to have the fear, ladies. We're human beings. But that pride and belief is something that should be with us everywhere in all that we're doing. And even for those of you who have to go, is the belief that this is. I said to some of you yesterday, you came to Israel for a year, so I want you to know, this is Israel. This is the real Israel. This is what's been going on for 75 years. And all those Israelis that you have comments about, they're the reason we can be here. It's because people stay here in times of trouble and they fight for our country. Because if everyone left, we wouldn't have a country. There'd be nowhere to visit if everyone left every time there was trouble. And there's a lot of kavod here with people who every single person here knows. Every single person knows someone. We already know people have been killed. We have that pride and we have that belief. And I really think that that's what Rashi's talking about. He's talking not to Goyim. He's talking to Jews. Jews, you read Sefer Bereshit. And if you have the belief will carry you through everything. Okay, we should have a peaceful evening.